As humans, we face tough decisions every single day. What should we have for dinner? Should I trust this post-White Castle fart? Who should I draft on draft day when I'm on the clock? I can't help you with the first two questions, but that last one is what we're talking about right now. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there, where today's video is going to be an absolute straight banger today, because there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions with some upcoming drafts. Who should I take? I got this choice and this choice. Which one am I going with? Well, that's kind of going to be what we're talking about here today. Got 5 different scenarios. Is it 5? 1, 2, 3. It's 5. Got 5 different scenarios today to maybe make some of these decisions a little bit easier, but not only that, give you a way to kind of go about making some of these other decisions that we don't cover today just a little bit easier for you here in fantasy football. Now, before I get into the video, I got a couple draft guides to give away because we've hit some like goals, and I got to set you another like goal. So for some previous videos, we got TG and D-Mitch. Congratulations, you are both winners of a free 2022 Fantasy Headliners draft guide. Just send me an email to info@thefantasyheadliners.com from that account right there, and I will hook you guys up. But now you need a like goal for this video, and because it's going to be a banger, we're going to set it at 1,906. 1906 is the like goal on this video. If we hit that, I'll give away another 2 draft guides to 2 random commenters down below. So hit the like button, leave the comment, and here we go. The first tough decision we're going to be talking about is none other than Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry in the first round. But we're going to kind of look at this in a logical way. We're going to judge them based off of 5 different categories for the running backs and then 5 different categories for the wide receivers. First up for the running backs here, you can see we have offensive line, running plays per game, their schedule, their strength of schedule, I guess you could say, splitting touches with anyone, and then their defense. Maybe you're asking, what does the defense have to do with anything? We want teams with great defenses, right? Because if their defenses are holding their opponents to lower scores, it gives us an opportunity to have a running back that could have some late game leads and really rack up more rush attempts. So that's why we're going to include it. We'll go through here line by line. First up here, let's talk about the offensive line when it comes to Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry. I'm going to give the slight edge, the slightest of edges right now to Derrick Henry, and I'll tell you why. I think Austin Hooper going to Tennessee is highly, highly underrated. I know he doesn't play the offensive line, but he's one of the best run-blocking tight ends in all of the NFL. Plus, they get Taylor Lewan back, and that just gives them the slight edge. Honestly, on paper, they're pretty close. I'm not going to sit here and say the offensive line for the Minnesota Vikings is horrendous, because it's really not. They're both about average or so, but the addition of Austin Hooper going to give King Henry the slight bump, so let's throw a crown up there for the King. How about running plays per game? Well, last year Minnesota ran 26 plays per game on the ground, quite a bit. But I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that Tennessee ran 31.9. They are a run-heavy team. We expect the same here once again this year. You got King Henry. You're going to run the ball a lot, so throw another crown into this box for me right here. Schedule. Strength of schedule. I mean, Tennessee plays in a division with Jacksonville and Houston. That alone should be enough to put a crown in this box as well. Not to say that the strength of schedule is that much harder for Minnesota, but the cupcake matchups are going the way of Tennessee, so King Henry going to win this one as well. How about splitting touches? Neither one of these guys are going to split a whole lot of touches if they're healthy. 100%, I think we can all agree on that. But when we look at the backups in Minnesota, Alexander Mattison is somebody who's very capable of toting the load if needed. If Dalvin needs a rest, they're still going to get solid production from Alexander Mattison. Behind King Henry, we have Hassan Haskins, a rookie. Now, a lot of people like Hassan Haskins late, but really, this is Derrick Henry's backfield. He's not going to be splitting touches with hardly anyone. Got to throw another crown into this one. Then we go down to defense. Who has the better defense, the Minnesota Vikings or the Tennessee Titans? Well, Minnesota this offseason, they added Zadarius Smith from Green Bay. They added Jordan Hicks from Arizona, and that really gives their defense the boost that they needed to really move past the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee has a lot of solid pieces on the defensive side of the football, but as of right now, as an overall unit, Minnesota slightly better. Throw me a Dalvin Cook emoji into that box. Now you can see right here, we're 4-1, Derrick Henry to Dalvin Cook. If you were to look at my rankings, you will also see that Derrick Henry is ahead of Dalvin Cook right now. I believe I have Derrick Henry as my running back 2 right now. Sure, coming off an injury last year was not ideal. It hurt a lot of people, but the volume he gets, the ability to make big plays, he just does everything you need. And in the first couple of rounds, I try to be as risk adverse as I possibly can. I'm going Derrick Henry here over Dalvin Cook this season in my drafts. Let's move on to the next comparison. How about, let's do Leonard Fournette and Saquon Barkley. And we're going to go through the same process here with these guys. I mean, let's talk about the offensive line. Now, this one got crazy close. At first, I was like, it's got to be Tampa Bay. But then you look at training camp here over the last couple of weeks, and they are falling like flies in Tampa. Offensive linemen cannot stay healthy right now in Tampa Bay. The only reason I feel like I should still go with Tampa Bay is I don't want to make too many assumptions about rookie Evan Neal for the New York Giants. A great addition to that offensive line. I loved Evan Neal coming out of the draft, but we haven't really seen him in an NFL game before, right? So there's a lot of assumptions there. I believe he's going to be really good. But as of right now, I would take Tristan Wirfs over him, and Tristan Wirfs on the offensive line there of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And after that, there becomes a lot of similarities just due to the injuries in Tampa Bay. Ever so slightly. I'm talking about slimmest of margins here. Throw me a Fat Lenny in the offensive line category. How about running plays per game? Well, Tampa Bay last year, 21.4 to New York's 24.6, but we have a new offense in New York, right? New head coach, Brian Daboll, they're over from Buffalo. I actually expect a little bit of a role reversal here when it comes to these guys this year. We know that we're banged up on the offensive line slightly in Tampa Bay. We know we're banged up with our wide receivers a little bit in Tampa Bay. Mike Evans currently sitting out, should be fine. Chris Godwin coming back from the torn ACL. Can Julio Jones ever really stay healthy here later in his career? Russell Gage already banged up as well. I expect New York to want to throw the ball a little bit more, and I expect Tampa Bay to want to run the ball a little bit more, at least to start the season, and that could make these numbers a lot closer. As of right now, when it comes to running plays per game, I still think that the New York Giants edge out Tampa Bay slightly. I love Leonard Fournette, and the reason I love him is his ability to be involved in the passing game as well, similar to Saquon Barkley. But when we're looking at running plays per game, I gotta give it to Barkley. Throw me a Barkley face in the box. Strength of schedule next. I think we can all agree that Tampa Bay's schedule is probably one of the hardest schedules of any NFL team this year. They have it rough to start the season, to end the season, and everywhere in between, where the Giants are going to have an opportunity at least to get out to a hot start. I believe even 3 of their first 4 games of the season are going to be a great opportunity for Saquon Barkley to come out hot. So I'm going to have to throw another Barkley face when it comes to the schedule. How about split touches? I'm almost willing to bet if you're not a New York Giants fan, you probably don't even know who the backup is right now to Saquon Barkley. A lot of you are probably saying, yes, Devontae Booker, because it has been in the past. But it's not this year. It's Matt Breida. I don't mind Matt Breida, another one of those guys that can't ever seem to stay healthy or get a consistent role no matter where he's playing. He's just bouncing around at this point. But a lot of people have high expectations for the backup now of Leonard Fournette, which could be Rachaad White, rookie there out of Arizona State. A lot of people loving Rachaad White. So as of right now, when it comes to split touches, I think we see more Rachaad White than we see of Matt Breida. So I'm going to have to throw another Barkley face up there in the box. This one is turning out a little bit difficult, right? Lastly, defense. As banged up as they are on offense in Tampa Bay, they are looking pretty good on defense. Looks like Levante David could be back and healthy here this year, which is great for that Tampa Bay defense. And even though the New York Giants are improved, very much improved, a healthy defense in Tampa Bay is going to get the nod here for me. So throw me up a Fat Lenny. So as you can see, we're 3-2 Barkley to Fournette. In my rankings, technically, I have Leonard Fournette higher, and I'll tell you why. It's the safety aspect of things. Now, sure, Leonard Fournette's been a guy that's dealt with injuries in the past as well. But for Saquon Barkley, it's too many what-ifs for me. We kind of know what to expect right now from Leonard Fournette. A lot of check down passes from Tom Brady. A lot of opportunities for touchdowns. Can we say that same thing for the New York Giants? Potentially, but it's a bunch of what-ifs, right? Sure, we would love Saquon Barkley to go out there and play 15, 16, 17 games. But with Daniel Jones under center, are the boxes stacked? Can he move the ball down the field? How many scoring opportunities are they going to get? Can Saquon Barkley stay healthy? There's just so many questions. Personally, even though in this exercise here, we're leaning Barkley, if I'm on the clock right now and it's a tough decision, I'm still leaning Leonard Fournette ever so slightly just for the safety aspect of things. All right, let's move on to some wide receivers. How about Michael Pittman and Jalen Waddle? And for the wide receivers, we'll switch it up here just a little bit because obviously we don't need the same metrics for wide receivers that we do for running backs. So for wide receivers, we're looking at competition for targets. We want them to have a bad defense on their team. Why? Because if their defense is giving up points, that means they're having to throw the ball more. Quarterback quality, schedule, pass attempts per game. And we'll start it off with target competition. Now, when you look at this and you know everything that's going on in Miami, we know that Jalen Waddle now has to deal with Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, Mike Gesicki, a few pass-catching running backs in the backfield. There's tons of options there in Miami. It's not just the Jalen Waddle show. When you go to Indianapolis, what do you got? Well, you got Paris Campbell, who can't ever stay healthy. Has he ever stayed? Never. Dude never stays healthy. Love Paris Campbell. Can't keep him on the field. Alec Pierce looks to be pretty good. Still an unproven rookie. What else? You got Mo Alley-Cox. Mo problems at the tight end position. You're going to run the ball a lot with Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines in the backfield. So as of right now, the target competition is way easier for Michael Pittman to see huge numbers than it will be Jalen Waddle. So throw me up a horseshoe. I tried to think of something funny to put in these boxes for Michael Pittman, but I couldn't. I was going to put a pit bull, but I was like, I don't even know if that makes sense or not. So he just gets the horseshoe. How about poor defense? Now, honestly, both of these defenses, not bad. However, the Colts defense just added Yannick Ngakoue and Stephon Gilmore here this offseason, so they are definitely going to get the edge as the better defense here overall. Plus, we still have DeForest Buckner and Shaquille Leonard, which is hard to remember to say instead of Darius Leonard. Now, I mean, they have tons of playmakers on the defensive side of the football for the Colts, so we're going to throw up a little Waddle emoji here for this one. Quarterback quality. Is this a hot take? I think Tua's slightly better than Matt Ryan. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, I don't believe. But when you look at the skill set that Jalen Waddle possesses, it just fits what Tua does really well. Tua's biggest knock is, can he go deep down the field? Does he have an arm? For Jalen Waddle, we don't really need that, right? I mean, we want Jalen Waddle to get a bunch of, 5 to 8 yard slants and just take him to the house. And Tua can do those just fine. We saw it last year with him. For Michael Pittman and Matt Ryan, because they're going to be so, heavily focused on the running game, and Matt Ryan is the type of quarterback this year, at least in Indianapolis, where he's going to try to spread the ball around. He needs some of these guys to kind of pick up some of the slack because they want to keep those boxes and those running lanes open for Jonathan Taylor. So when it comes to quarterback quality, given the two skill sets, I'm leaning Tua a little bit. Strength of schedule, I mean, once again, we got to give it to Michael Pittman. He's in a division with the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. That's just a couple cupcake matchups that really help give him that opportunity for some big games, so definitely throwing me a horseshoe up there. Plus, you got to expect with the speed of the offense in Miami, they're going to give their opponents more possessions per game, which is going to then allow, give them the opportunity to score more. It's going to be a lot of high-scoring games for the Miami Dolphins, so throw me up a horseshoe here for the schedule. As of pass attempts per game, just mentioned, when you have Jonathan Taylor, you use Jonathan Taylor. When you go out in the offseason and acquire somebody like a Tyreek Hill and a Cedric Wilson and you bring in a new coaching staff, that means you want to throw the ball. You don't acquire all those guys to not turn around and throw the ball a little bit more. So we're going with a Waddle emoji here. 3 Waddles to 2 horseshoes in my rankings. They're pretty freaking close. I like both of these guys a lot. Honestly, there's maybe some opportunity for you guys to maybe get both of them. Maybe you're at one of those picks where you're back-to-back in the 3rd to 4th round. You went heavy running back early. You could end up with both Pittman and Waddle, and honestly, I don't think I hate that duo whatsoever since you're pairing them with 2 upper-level running backs Love these guys still. A lot of people hopped off the Jalen Waddle bandwagon once they signed Tyreek Hill. Honestly, I'm one of those people that really feels like it helped the potential production of one Jalen Waddle, because now the defensive attention isn't going to be on him. Next up, this one's going to be tough. This is two teammates, Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. Now, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to sit here and put something in each of these categories because they play on the same damn team. So they're going to have the same issues going back and forth with each other. So let's just talk about both of these guys here for a second, because honestly, I don't have an issue with either one of these guys. I think when you look at them and you make comparisons, you can kind of say that with Russell Wilson under center, that Cortland Sutton's going to be the quote-unquote DK Metcalf of the offense, and Jeudy's going to be the quote-unquote Tyler Lockett of the offense. I could see more receptions and more yards going the way of Jeudy, but I can see more big plays and touchdowns going the way of Cortland Sutton. I think both of these guys, even though they're back-to-back basically in most drafts here this year, it's a win-win situation for you. But I really look at this in a way that I want to know, what did you have coming up to this decision? Have you already taken a solid wide receiver and you're just looking for that number 2 guy to really, round out your wide receiver core? Have you gone heavy running back or a quarterback or a tight end, and now you're trying to find a number 1 guy that has a potential higher ceiling? If you have somebody already that is already a bona fide stud at wide receiver, I'm probably playing it slightly safer and going with somebody like Jeudy, trying to rack up some receptions and some points that way. If you're looking for somebody at this point to be your number 1, you've gone heavy everything else to this point, then all of a sudden I'm looking towards Cortland Sutton because I'm going to try to maximize the touchdown output on my roster. And to me, that is Cortland Sutton this year in this offense for the Denver Broncos. I think both of these guys have an opportunity to finish inside the top 24, which is a great thing. It's just one of those, which do you prefer type situations. I don't think you can choose wrong here. One just may be slightly safer in Jeudy than one Cortland Sutton, but both of them have the potential to really make you a happy fantasy owner. I think Russell Wilson's going to open up this offense. We know that the running game is something that opposing defenses are going to have to pay attention to. We've talked about Albert, are you okay at the tight end position? Now KJ Hamler potentially with no Tim Patrick. There's a lot of options in this offense, and we're going to see Russ cook. They didn't bring him here to just have him turn around and hand the ball off. You don't bring in Russell Wilson to just do that in Denver. He's going to throw the ball and throw the ball a lot. One of Russell Wilson's best assets is his deep ball, and that's why I think Cortland Sutton's more of that alpha guy and a little bit more risky because you're a little bit more big play dependent. But both of these guys, I think, is a win-win for you. I'm not hating on either one of them if I'm being honest. All right, last one here. Let's talk about Amon St. Brown and Gabe Davis of the Buffalo Bills. Very popular choice for a lot of people here in Gabe Davis, right? A lot of people want themselves some of Gabe Davis on their roster this year, but which one of these guys do you choose? Well, when we're looking at target competition, you got to go with the sun god, Amon St. Brown. Jamison Williams is hurt. He may not even play at all this year. DJ Chark, he's coming off of an injury. TJ Hawkinson was banged up last year. DeAndre Swift seems to miss some time. And Amon St. Brown is by far the safest option in an offense on a team that's going to still be throwing the ball a lot. He really got the chemistry going with Jared Goff late in the season last year. I'm going with the sun god here for the first one. Next up, poor defense. I think when we all look at the defenses here, we can all agree that the Buffalo Bills defense is probably one of the best in the NFL. And the Lions is not. This is not one we're going to spend a whole lot of time on. Obviously, when we're looking for a poor defense, we're going to go with the Lions, so throw me up another sun emoji. Quarterback quality, another easy one, right? When you're looking at Josh Allen and you're looking at Jared Goff, if you ever look at those two and be like, you know what, Jared Goff is slightly better, fantasy football is not for you because Josh Allen is head and shoulders better than Jared Goff, so throw me up a Bills emoji. Another thing, I couldn't think of anything to throw in here that was cool or funny for Gabe Davis. There's just nothing funny to put in this box, so he just gets the Bills emoji. Sorry, Gabe. Next up, schedule. Detroit probably has top 5 easiest schedule in the NFL. And when you look at the Buffalo Bills, it really doesn't seem to matter every week. Whoever they play, they get their A game, right? Everybody's always trying to rise to the occasion of the Buffalo Bills, not so much for the Detroit Lions. And the Lions schedule is arguably, they got it easy this year. All right, so definitely throwing a sun god emoji up here. Lastly, pass attempts per game. Last year, Detroit threw the ball 34.9 times per game. Buffalo 36 times per game. With all the injuries to the wide receiver group there in Detroit, I don't expect that number to climb very much. Sure, we lost a couple people with like Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders in Buffalo, but adding in more of Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie, we got Jamison Crowder in the mix. There's a lot of people in Buffalo, and we know Josh Allen is going to throw the ball quite a bit, so got to throw a Bills emoji up here. However, when you look at the chart, we're going 3-2 Amon-Ra over Gabe Davis. And honestly, in my opinion, Amon-Ra is still the safer option and the one that I would choose right here. Kind of similar to the situation we were talking about with Jeudy and Sutton. If you need somebody who's just a safe and solid producing wide receiver, you're going Amon-Ra. If you're trying to shoot for the moon and you already have some solid pieces, then you go with somebody like a Gabe Davis. It just all depends, but in my opinion, if I'm on the clock and I have to choose one, I'm going with Amon-Ra. Now, why do we do exercises like this? And there's really a good reason for it, because there's going to be a lot of times when you're on the clock, it's ticking down. Maybe you only have a 30-second timer, whatever it may be, and you're faced with a decision like this. You don't want to have to try and figure it out then. You already want to know, if I get faced with player A or player B, which way am I going and why ahead of time. Save yourself the stress. Save yourself the accidental opportunity of just taking the wrong guy because you panic. Do the research early. Figure out who it is you want and you don't want that have similar ADPs, and the draft is going to be a piece of cake for you. You're going to walk out of there with your head held high and a team that you want to have this season in 2022, and that's what it's all about. Don't forget, hit that like button and leave that comment down below. Looking forward to giving away a couple draft guides because I know you guys are going to smash the like goal once again. If you have not yet checked out our audio podcast, it's right here on the bottom of the screen. I don't care if you listen to your podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, whatever it may be, we're on there. A lot of people will rip all the audio from their YouTube videos and just throw it up as a podcast because they're lazy. We don't do that. We have a podcast every week that is entirely different content than you're going to find anywhere on YouTube, and we have a lot of fun with it. So if you're interested, make sure you head over there, check it out, and leave us a 5-star review. Let's continue to grow that podcast. We greatly appreciate that support. Going to hop out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, though, a great week, and we'll talk to you later.